We're back.
Okay, welcome back. Okay, this is our fourth movie, and it's actually the movie I chose, which is The Dry, 2020, starring Eric Bana.
Aaron, you need to be here for the funeral. We're expecting you.
You knew him, didn't you?
An old mate of Luke's, actually. I'm just here in a personal capacity.
Luke drove to his house at 4:30, killed his family, then headed here to kill himself.
You're convinced he did it?
What do you think?
It's all over town that you're reopening the investigation.
Who's here? It's the pigs.
You of all people should be minding your own business.
Boy! What are you doing back in our town, boy?
So you've heard some stories about me.
I've heard some.
You got a personal history with the girl who died in a river 20 years ago.
Is a connection between the two deaths. Where were you that afternoon?
Why would I lie?
Because Luke asked you to.
I need a suspect.
Put them under enough pressure and they just crumble.
This has got nothing to do with me. You don't know me.
Sometimes when this place feels kind of empty, and all of the breath fades with the light.
Think you're gonna get the truth in a town like this?
Think about the loveless fascination.
When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature.
Wish I knew what you were looking for.
I need to know whether or not Luke killed his family.
Might have known what you
Mate, you're obsessed with it. It's a revenge trip.
We had one chance to get the truth.
under the Milky Way tonight.
Okay, they can just do it off their top of their head. I have to make notes. Anyways, so for me, this is a very different murder mystery thriller based on a 2016 bestseller set in Australia. Bestseller novel set in Australia in an area called Kiwara. Aaron Falk is our lead character. He's now a detective. He grew up there. He returns home for a funeral for Luke. This is a childhood friend. His name is Luke Hadler, and appears that Luke has killed his wife, his son, and then killed himself. This is a very small farming area, very rural. Right. But this little farming area isn't doing any farming because there's been in drought for at least a year. The town has very bad memories for him. The actual reason that he came back was because he received a letter from Luke's parents asking him to come and look at this because they could not believe their son did this. They do not believe their son killed his wife and their son. So,
and with a cryptic note, though, I want to mention that because I like the fact they said, you lied, Luke lied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which means, so, yeah.
Yes. And, okay, so earlier, now you go back, there's another 20 years ago. The town is not happy to see him. And that's because 20 years ago, there was a murder that Luke and he were somehow implicated in. And he just kind of left after that. They blame him and Luke for Ellie's death, that Ellie was their friend. So, let's see, where am I going? He teams up, okay, so he goes and he teams up with this young policeman. He's like a first time out on the job thing, and he notices several things. Right. And he kind of starts piecing it together. Well, in doing this murder, he also unravels the past murder that he's implicated in. And so... well,
actually, I want to take... I think it was just her death. It wasn't so much a murder.
Well, we don't know.
Well,
if
yeah,
it was-
right. I'm
right.
sorry.
But that-
Yes,
it wasn't just
she
a
was.
death,
He was.
yeah.
They were, yeah, right. They were implicated in her death.
Yeah,
Because she was found drowned.
which could have been a suicide too. We don't know what. What
Yeah,
it is.
yes. They're absolutely right. So this movie also goes back and forth in time, but I thought he did it really well. It was very easy for me to follow. I thought it was an excellent movie. Patty.
Okay, of all the movies I didn't like, this would be it. Dry is
winner.
the perfect title. It was so dry. And
I thought the dry was very dry.
Yeah, right. It was just so, I keep saying boring, but that was it. It's like, it's a murder or a suicide. But, you know, you could have had some, like, meat and potatoes with that one. And there was nothing. I think I fell asleep halfway through it and woke up, and I swear no time had passed. It was the same thing. It was like nothing moved along. It moved at such a incredibly slow pace. I kept looking at the clock going, that's only been 5 minutes. and nothing filled in, you know, for the meat and the potatoes. So, yeah, I really hated it.
Okay.
Don't see it.
No, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought it was classic. You know, it did have a slow pace, but I could follow it. I was engaged. It's to me, it's like a good movie, like a hearty, you know, movie. You sit down like when you read a good book, a good story. The movie actually has. He's being called back to solve to find out if, because they think his son committed suicide, and then but they say there's a theory that he was murdered. But in the same story, they're going back in time to when he was a child, young, about another situation that could have been suicide and murder, with both things to be like, both cases are either suicide, murder. We don't know what's going on. So it's kind of like a classic, you know, going back, a classic murder mystery where you're also trying to solve an old murder mystery. Right. No, kind of like like Dragon Tattoo Girl, but that's just going past. That's just going in the past in general. But I actually like Eric Bana in this role. I thought he was good. You know, I like the character, the way he seemed like a perfect fit for that. You know? And then I'm going on Nobody else, and then he goes berserk. No, but that was a different movie. I'm reading Nobody. But
Excuse me.
yeah, so to me it was just like a good book, just a good mystery, murder mystery movie. You know, that's just serious, and I enjoy it.
See, now this is the funny part, because I think ultimately you would call this a murder mystery because of the setup, but I found it more of a drama.
It was.
In fact, that's what I was trying to explain to them in regards to, this is almost like the TV series you've been seeing lately from Europe and America now, like Bear of Easttown, or I mentioned Broadchurch, where it has to do with something's going on. An outsider, has to come back to the town to sort of investigate something. Right. Or somebody is indirectly involved, but while they're investigating something, you're learning more about the character, because they have to talk about their past, or they're talking about what's happened, some tragedies that happened in the family. Because he has come in and he did something financial that made the newspaper. So that's why the parents said they don't even want him to look in the mystery. They're thinking it has to do with money. So they asked him, can you look at his books, right? Can you look at this? Because maybe it's something with this or that, or the money.
With the farm.
Right, exactly. Because they can't believe that their son had committed this crime, period. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he comes in, and then the girl who died 20 years ago, immediately, her brother, it would be her brother at the time, just completely just says, what are you doing here? Get out. We don't want you. The father is going slightly senile and thinks he's his actual father. Right. Because his father basically took him out of town and said, okay, we're just leaving. Just dropping everything, get in the car, we're leaving. Because he can't stand what's happening to his son in the town. Right. So while you're doing that, it really brings up memories, and that's what I thought was more interesting, is not so much him just thinking about what happened, but since Luke had died, in fact, I find I do this a lot when somebody passes away. I think about, the times we had together and what we did, and both good and bad, oddly enough, right? And then you sort of question your own mortality. So I thought Eric Bana really captured that character. I really thought he was great in this. In fact, of all the movies, this was, to me, the best movie, I think, of the bunch. It is very slow-paced, I'll give you that. And you're right. I think it has to do with the setting. Like you said, very dry, very nothing almost. And yet all these little things that keep happening. Because as the story goes along, again, more and more things get revealed, even relationships. Like he's even accusing, there were 4 friends, 2 girls, 2 guys, and the only one now surviving is Gretchen. And at one point, he even thinks, should I ask the question? Did you have anything to do with this kind of stuff? And it's you can see the bitterness that everyone has when he goes back to the town. Yeah. And that's what I sort of like, because I said, that's sort of what towns are like. Everyone knows everyone's business. Small and towns. This and that, right? I mean, there's a weird little thing about possibly the farms trying to be bought out by the 3 different major farms that are all together in the location. Then you find out something odd about one of the owners, which I actually thought was funny. I know I shouldn't have found it funny, but for some reason I thought, really? Is that really why? And I thought, oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting. It's like a Midwest small town where certain things you do not talk about. And then I thought the performances were really good. I only had a problem with the ending because there was something I questioned whether they're intimating or if it actually happened. They don't really explain it. So when you watch the film, let us know. Please make a comment what you think happened. Because in a way, he does figure out what had happened to his friend Luke. But then it seems as if he has figured out also what happened in the past.
Right.
So as I said, so there was something, again... See, I was very satisfied with the ending, except I was sort of confused by one part of the ending. And I can't give it away because it's sort of fascinating. It's almost very subtle. But that's the problem with these movies. When it's so quiet and slow, it's like, okay, are they trying to tell you something? Or am I just reading too much in this? But I have to admit, same thing. I thought, okay, first 20 minutes... it's not really going anywhere. What's going to happen? And then I had to admit, when the drama showed up, because, it shows...
When was that?
It was at the funeral.
Like, for example, there's a great... Well, the funeral was definitely one of that, because, again, the bitterness, and just the bitterness that he has to face. But, like, the scene when the father's on the phone. He's looking for a son. And then, of course, this is the Aaron character, this is the Eric Bana's character as a child, because I will give it to, as well, that the 4 young... actors who played the younger characters were really good. I did like them, but it is the drama that happens that you get affected by because you realize this is what shaped him. Right. So when the father just breaks down, he said, "I heard a teenager was killed, and I thought it was you." And then he just hugs his son, right? Mm-hmm. But then his son just bolts out and runs because he thinks that's when it's like, oh, he must know who got killed or something.
And it's also the scene in the beginning where he's asking the dead guy's father is asking him to do the books, and he said, "No, I don't want to do the books. I'm going to get to this. Do the books, He goes, "I know you covered up for what's his face. You guys say you weren't at the river, but you guys were wet."
See, exactly.
So there's that. We go, "Oh, what's going on?" So he goes, "I know you both were lying." So
and that's what I said. That's why that note was very telling. You lied.
So there's another story. There's something else going on here.
And that's sort of what intrigued me because all these little things had come up. In fact, you just reminded me because his father was played by Bruce Spence, the great Australian actor. Right. It was so nice. That was so nice for me to see him, still working. But like I said, I thought it was very satisfying. I do not consider this a murder mystery, oddly enough. I really just thought it was a straight-out drama. But the way they condensed everything into 2 hours sort of surprised me. Because like I said, if this was a 7-part miniseries, this is sort of what you see, like I said, with those type of series. Right. But the drama, I thought they kept it all insular, and I guess maybe a guy who comes back into town who's not liked, only has a couple friends sort of left, and yet has to deal with it only because this was his best friend, and he's sort of resolving his past now, not only for himself but seemingly for his father as well. So that's why I thought the drama was there. But I did like it.
Yeah, I thought that the the movie was enhanced by the kind of aridness. There was a feeling of aridness.
Oh, yeah. The atmosphere was definitely
which
there.
you would call, like slow. It was like just, you could feel the dryness, so, yeah. And so I think that was kind of, who was the director? I thought he was great.
Connolly?
Yeah. It was, where is my...
Yeah, the movie's huge in Australia. It was like the
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It's
that's
huge.
why.
Was it?
That's why I wanted to watch it.
It's like the biggest thing over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I did know this was like you said, a major bestseller. I know in Australia. But
Robert Connolly.
yeah, Robert Connolly.
Robert
Oh, there
Connolly?
you go. You should read the books since
Maybe
you're the
that would be-
reader,
yeah.
just to see if it
Makes more
resonates
sense.
with you.
Yeah.
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 You see Robert Connolly?
Yes.
Robert Connolly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything more?
Nope.
Okay, let's see. That's me. That's you.
You had a quick review of it. Anything more from you?
What do you mean? I started it.
Oh, you
It's
started?
my,
I
it's
thought
my
you were doing a
movie.
review. There you go. I'm like, that was pretty quick.
It was so.
Oh yeah, it was right. Okay, that's it. What? Okay.
Wow.
It was so memorable.
My score is 3.
Oh wow. Okay.
Go ahead.
Like the imposter stuff.
I'll give it a 9.
I gave this a 7. Yeah.
I give it a 10. Wow! No, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Of course, I'm a murder mystery as my thing.
I love murder
and,
mysteries.
but it
Wish
was.
I'd seen one.
Well, the funny thing is, I will say this, Betty, is the fact that literally, I think it was such a nicely paced movie, because all the other 3 I didn't find were paced well. Well, I take it back. Nobody was paced exactly how it should have been, because, like I said,
There
that was the
you
most
go.
entertaining.
Thank you.
But Paper Tigers,
right.
I kept the back and forth. Whereas this, even though we were going back and forth, right? At least I thought it's sort of telling a linear story, because he keeps thinking about his past every time he comes across something. Like he sees the watering hole they used to be at, and so he goes back to that. That's where, like I said, it sort of kept the story constantly going.
Right.
But it was very slow. I can't deny that. But there was something very pleasant about, I don't know, maybe the Zen quality of like, oh, it's so nice and quiet.
I love, slow paced. I do not mind at all,
Okay.
because in some movies it's needed. I just did not feel this was.
One of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
That was enough.
That ends this episode of What the Flicks podcast. I need new glasses. I'm looking through clouds, right? Like of oil, right? It's like, You can listen to the audio of this podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spreaker, and Amazon Music. Look for What the Flicks podcast. You can watch this video on YouTube. Look for What the Flicks. And you can send us your comments and suggestions at whattheflickspodcast@gmail.com. And remember, you can subscribe to us and you can like us. And so until next time, adios.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.